Episode 6 of The Night Agent Season 2 starts with a flashback to 13 years ago when Catherine's partner, Noah, was killed in a mission. The investigation ultimately led her to Peter Sutherland Sr.'s betrayal. This explains why Catherine felt ambushed when the president forced Peter down her throat. Noah's death shook her, and she almost quit being an agent. Presently, Noor gets a call from Hala and she excuses herself. Once Noor walks out of the room, Peter brings Rose and Catherine up to speed. Rose begs Peter to tell Noor the truth, but he and Catherine refuse, citing their need to protect the investigation. Noor takes her call outside and is worried when Hala tells her that Javad has been looking into her. Hala doesn't have all the details but doesn't want her or her family implicated in the big mess. Against Peter and Catherine's advice, Noor demands to return to the embassy. Noor notices Rose is acting strange and asks to speak privately. Rose lies to Noor that Farhad is alive but broke his arm during a police encounter. Noor is relieved that her brother is safe and gives Rose the encryption password to the documents. Meanwhile, Javad and Abbas meet with Solomon to find out who else knew about the list. They show Solomon a picture of Peter, but the former denies ever meeting Peter. To be cautious, Javad suggests that Abbas give him the list for safekeeping. Meanwhile, Peter and Catherine open the document and discover they have nothing to do with Foxglove. It is a list of Iranian dissidents and their new locations. Still, the Iranians should never have the list from the beginning. Thankfully, Peter and Catherine can trace the documents and find out who the leak is. Catherine believes they are missing something and should look at the case from a different angle. At The Hague, Tomas brings his lawyer to talk to his dad, Victor. Tomas is not shocked to learn that his dad never planned to only expose the American lies. He wants to send a message to the Americans and prove they lied about how he came across a certain chemical weapon. Victor knew Tomas wouldn't go along with it, and Marcus was secretly following his orders. To prove his dad wrong, Tomas vows to prove himself and head the revenge operation himself. He goes back home and tries to ascertain his dominance against Marcus. Once Noor gets to the embassy, Javad asks to speak with her privately in his office. Noor lies that she was feeling sick on the night of the party and misplaced her phone. She denies anything to do with Peter or Rose. She also explains that Hala was only trying to protect her and had nothing to do with the infiltration at the party. Javad drops the issue but asks to keep her phone and check if it was hacked. After lying to Noor, Rose feels guilty and calls her therapist. She finally opens up about Peter. Her therapist warns her that she might have trauma bonded with Peter. Rose expresses her regret about reuniting with Peter. The therapist asks her to deeply reflect on her real feelings and thanks her for opening up. Later, she feels more angry when Peter explains the document didn't give them any leads to Foxglove. She wonders if Farhad died for nothing. Meanwhile, Catherine gets a lead about the possible leak at the French embassy. She follows the traitor and confronts her. Cornered, Jacqueline agrees to set up an introduction between Catherine and Solomon. Catherine calls Peter and asks him to set up surveillance for the meeting taking place in 2 hours. She suggests they bring in Rose to watch the feed. Peter refuses to ask Rose for another favor, so Catherine stops by the house to ask herself. She starts by complimenting Rose's value to the investigation, mentions how her uncle and aunt were great agents, and basically emotionally manipulates Rose to help her. She also gives Rose emergency clearance on Foxglove. Elsewhere at the embassy, Javad fetches Noor, and Abbas informs her of the death of Farhad and that her mother is missing. The Iranians think it was a kidnapping and have no idea it was an extraction. Noor goes into denial and leaves the embassy heartbroken. At Jacob's office, he immediately notices something is off about the sudden introduction from Jacqueline. He asks Solomon to tread carefully and set a trap for Jacqueline and her supposed friend. The meeting happens as scheduled, but Solomon has his people hunting Peter from his vantage point. Rose realizes that the assassins are tuned to their comms. She calls Peter on his personal phone, and they plan how to outsmart the assassins. They strategically lead the assassins away and allow Peter to run back to save Catherine. He finds Jacqueline dead and Catherine fighting with Solomon. The episode ends with Solomon's arrest. My heart dropped when Javad showed up at Noor's house. I thought he was about to arrest her. Thank God, no one is onto Noor just yet. Still, she must be hurting after learning about Peter's betrayal. She did everything to save her family, and this is not the happy ending she pictured. Catherine's conversation with Rose was illuminating. As much as we might want to judge Peter, he is trying his best. Being a secret agent is never black and white. It is mostly gray, and he has to make hard decisions every time. He has a lot to think about and always has to look at the big picture, which is keeping as many people as possible safe. It is easy for Rose to get on her high horse because she doesn't know what is at stake. Now that she has been read on Foxglove, maybe she will be less judgmental. Peter is a good agent because he feels every loss and always tries to be better. With Solomon in custody, will Night Action find some answers about Foxglove? Based on Tomas' call with Marcus, something is going down tomorrow, and Night Action is clueless. It is concerning that the Bala family is not even on their radar.